Hello, grade 3. So nice to be with you again for your next maths lesson. How much fun is it to learn at home? Sometimes we can get up a little bit later and we can take breaks when we feel like it, and we can spend time with our families. Plus, we can learn at the same time. And plus me, Les Harwin, your maths teacher, can actually do the very thing she loves to do the most, and that is to teach, and especially to teach grade 3s, because they are actually my best age group to teach. I just love teaching your age group, you special kids. All right, so let's carry on, shall we? And of course, this lesson is brought to you very proudly by WorksheetCloud, and there is the email address where you can contact me, or your parents can, should you have a question about this particular maths lesson. And what is the next thing I'm going to ask you to do? To make sure you have a pen and pencil handy, because I'm going to do a little tables exercise and I'd like you to be able to write the answers down. So if you need to pause the video and tootle off and go and get yourself a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, that would be great. Right, so those of you who've got your pen and pencil are back, and I just wanted to let you know that we are doing number mixed bag lesson 3 today, and just to remind you of what this is all about, is over the last couple of weeks, or about a month actually, we've been looking at maths concepts at each lesson, and now what I'm doing is I am now practicing those maths concepts kind of a few times a week, so that we don't leave any of those maths concepts behind and you keep coming back to them. So whether it's time or money or fractions or tables or adding, subtracting, all those things, we keep coming back to them because they help us not to forget. So there's our mixed bag of sweets, just like our maths lesson is a mixed bag of different activities, not all the same topic. So that just explains that for you, because it's nice for you to know what I'm on about. Right, but before we go any further, as you know, let's look at a couple of maths riddles, and I only got 2 for today. Yes, thank you for that little giggle, you cheeky little dog. Right, so the first one today is, what is bigger the more you take away from it? Well, I mean, if I take sweets away, I get less sweets. If I spend money, I don't get more money. What is bigger the more you take away from it? A hole, of course. That's a cheeky chipmunk laugh, if ever there was one. And the next one, what is a head and a tail, but no body? Now, that's a bit weird, isn't it? No body, a head and a tail? Now, I want you to ask your rest of your family and your friends these riddles and see if they can get them. A coin, of course, because you go and look at a coin. The head part of the coin is where you see the number, like a 5 rand on it, or at the back is the tail part. And we're going to focus on money today as well. Well, our audience thought that was funny. And so does our naughty monkey. All right, so what are we going to focus on today so that we know what direction we're going to be going on, grade 3s? So, of course, we're focusing on the concepts that we've covered so far in the last few weeks. We're looking at counting, which is very important. We're looking at 3 and 4 times tables, time, number patterns. And counting and number patterns are kind of relatives, cousins. Then we're going to go and look at money again and word problems. So let's get a move on, right, with counting. And there's our number line. Today, because we are doing tables in 3 times and 4 times, I'm going to be focusing on 3 times and 4 times with counting as well. So let's count in 3, shall we, grade 3s? Ready? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, and 33, and 12 times 3 is 36. Of course, the 3 times table goes on till it never ends. It just doesn't end, but we haven't got space for everything here today. All right, so now, because we counted in 3s, let's count in 30s because they are family members, of course. And remember that 3 times 10 is 30, so every time we count in 30s, we're counting 10 times bigger. So what's 6 times 10? Right, 60. So let's count 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, 210, 240, 270, 300, 330, and 360. And you can see how closely related those two are. 3 counting in 3s and counting in 30s. Right, now we're going to look at 4s because we're focusing on 3 and 4 times tables. And I think my face is a little bit too much in. Whoopsie, maybe I should just leave myself right there. Right, so counting in 4s. Ready, grade 3s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, and 48. I want you to notice a pattern, guys. There's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Then we go, each the number starts again with 4, 8, 12, or 2, 6, 40. And that's your pattern again. It repeats itself. Now we're going to count in 40s, guys. So let's go. You can do this easily. 40, 80, 120, 160, remembering that 4 times 10 is 40. So if we're counting in 40s instead of 4, each time our answer is going to be 10 times bigger. So from 162, 200, 240, 280, 320, 360, 400, 440, 480. Now, I'm going to ask you to do something quite challenging. We're going to count from 400 in 50s. Okay, can you manage that? Let's go. 400, 450, 500, 550, 600, 650, 700, 750, 800, 850, 900, and 950. I'm going to ask you, can anybody tell me what answer I would get? What would be the next number in this pattern as I'm adding in 50s, grade 3s? 950 plus 50 would be 1,000. Well done. Very good counting, grade 3s. You're really sharp. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at our 3 and 4 times table. And this is where I would like you to please use your piece of paper and your pen, and I'd like you to write numbers 1 to 10 and then 11 to 20. So you're going to have to pause the video just so that we don't have to wait for too long, and you can do it in your own time. And then when you're ready, you can just get the video going again, and then you can, once you've done all your tables, and then you can get the video going again and we can mark them. Okay, so switch it off now or pause it for now, and let's do numbers 1 to 20, 5 times 3, 7 times 4, and so on. And let's see how many you get right. Right, now grade 3s, you've unpaused our video, and the first answer, 5 3s, is 15. 7 4s, 28. And a little trick I can help you with this. If you think of 7 times 2, then it is 14. But because you're multiplying by 4, you can just double 14, which is 28. Doubling and halving is a clever trick to use as often as you can. 8 times 3, 24. 3 times 4, 12. 5 times 4, 20. Well, 5 times 2 is 10, so you just double 10 and it's 20. 11 times 3, these are easy because you know that you just double the 3, 33. 8 times 4 is 32. 4 times 4, 16. 9 threes, 27. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 9 fours are 36. 12 threes are 36. Now notice, you don't have to have the same number only equaling 36. 9 times 4 is 36, but so is 12 times 3. 10 times 4 is 40. 1 times 3 is 3. What's the rule? You multiply any number by 1 and it stays the same. 12 times 4 is 48. 10 times 3 is 30. Any number multiplied by a 10, that number gains a 0, doesn't it, grade 3s? 6 fours, 24. 0 times 3. Any number multiplied by 0, the answer is always 0. Yay! And 3 times 3 is 9. Goody, goody. Right, you see how I can move myself all over the screen very quickly. Now we're going to have a look at some nice number patterns. Some are going to be very straightforward, and then I want to get a little bit more difficult just to exercise those clever brains that I know you grade 3s have got. Right, so we need to decide what is the little interval in between the numbers. What are we adding on or taking away each time, grade 3? So let's have a look at this first one. 5, I'm going to just try and see if I can find my little laser point. So here we start with 5, and the next number is 8, and then 11, and then 14. Well, I know that 5 plus 3 is 8, and 8 plus 3 is 11, and 11 plus 3 is 14. So it's safe to say that this number pattern has a pattern of adding 3 each time. So let's add 5, 8, 11, 14, 17, plus 3 is 20, plus 3 is 23, plus 3 is 26, 29, 32, and 35. Perfect. Now the next one. Can you tell me, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds, can you tell me what interval we are jumping in here? What are we adding on each time? And remember, a pattern doesn't have to have the same number added each time. It can be different as long as it's repeating or it's got a specific pattern. What's this pattern? Yes, that's absolutely right. We're adding in 4s, but we didn't start at 4, we started at 8, or we can start at any number, quite honestly. So let's go. 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, there's our pattern again, 40, 44, and 48. Yippee-de-doo-dah, fabulous. Then the next one, this is a little bit more tricky. You can manage. So now, what am I looking at here? So let's have a look. From 3 to 4, I add 1. Okay, let's keep that in the back of my mind. To jump from 4 to 6, I've got to add 2. So I added 1 to get to 4. I added 2 to get to 6. What do you think the next one might be? I'm going to add 3 to get to 9, from 6 to 9. So what's the pattern? I added 1 from 3 to 4. To get from 4 to 6, I added 2. To get from 6 to 9, I added 3. So what's the next jump going to be? I'm going to add 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then 7. The difficult thing with this is to remember to change your number every time. So let's go from 9. I'm going to add 4. 9 plus 4 is 13. Now I'm going to add 5 to 13 to get 18. Then I'm going to add 6 to 18 to get 24. To 24, I'm going to add 7 to get to 31. To 31, I'm going to add 8 to get to 39. I have to keep track of this. And from 39, what is it? Oh, yes, 9. And then the last one, I have to add 10. So what did I do? I added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So there you see there's a pattern where I didn't have the same number I added every time. It was different. I have to work out the pattern and keep it going. So that's expanding. Remember we did expanded patterns. Right, they're all expanded patterns actually. Now, what's happening with this one that's slightly different, grade 3s? What do you notice about this one? Can you notice? Yes, well done. So we started at 44. It doesn't matter what number we start at. Then we made it one smaller. We took 1 away to get 43. Then we took 1 away to get 42. And 1 away to get 41. So what's the pattern? We are making it smaller each time by 1. So 41 minus 1 is 40. Minus 1, 39. Minus 1, 38. Then 37. Then 36, 35, and 34. And now comes our last pattern. And this one is also slightly more tricky than the other ones, grade 3. But you can manage. Right, so let's have a look now. We're starting at 31. I'm adding 1 to get to 32. What do I have to add to 32 to get 34? I'm adding 2. Does this ring a bell? When did we do this? Yes, we did it up here. We're just using the same pattern, but with different numbers. And to get to 37 from 34, I added 3. So the next one I'm going to have to add is 4, and then 5, and then 6, and so on. So let's remember, I've added 1, 2, 3, and then 4 is the next one. So 37 plus 4 is 41. Now I've got to plus 5, which is 46, and then 6, which is 52. 52 plus 7 is 59. 59 plus 8 is 67. 67 plus 9 is 76. And 76 plus 10 is 86. For a little while I thought I'd made a mistake. I hope I haven't. I have to go back and check later. You can see, did I make that one correctly? You maybe have to go back and check for me as well. Right, now we did time. We did a whole lesson. In fact, I think we might have even done 2 lessons actually. So I'm going to now bring you back to practicing time, because if I wait for a whole month, you'll forget what I taught you a few weeks back. So that's why I always bring you back to the same concepts. Right, and this time I'm going to actually ask you girls and boys to tell me what the time is on these clocks, remembering the big hand or the longer hand is the minute hand, right? And the shorter hand is the hour hand. And we always look at the hour hand to give us what time it is, and the minute hand to give us how many minutes passed, or minutes too. So let's look at the first one. Big hand is on the 12, small hand on the 8. The small hand is what tells us the hour, so it is 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, or we write it digitally as an 800. Right, the small hand is on the 4. It's pointing to the 4, right? So, and the big hand is on the, what would be the 9, which means it is 4:45, or it is 45 minutes past 3. This one is 20 minutes past 8. The smaller hand is on the 8, and the longer hand is on the 4, which tells me that it's 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes past 8, or 8:20. This one now, the small hand, or the hour hand, is pointing on the 12, and the long hand is pointing 5 minutes to go. So how would we can tell this in 2 ways this time. We can either say it's 5 to 12, 5 minutes to go until it's 12 o'clock, or we can say it is 55 minutes past 11. And the more we practice these times, grade 3s, the more familiar it will become to you. It will come to you, and you will be able to get them right more easily. But it takes a long time sometimes, and that's okay. Right, so the small hand is on the 5, or it's not quite on the 6, so we always say it's 5. But the long hand, or the minute hand, is on the 6, which means it's gone half past 5 or 5:30. Remember that 30 minutes is the same as half past. Right, let's have a look now at the last one. This is a slightly trickier one. You always know that this maths teacher will always push you a little bit to think a little bit beyond what I've taught you, just to extend you a little bit, because you can, because those brains are really smart. So that looks like it's kind of at 2 o'clock. It's pointing towards 2, but how many minutes is it past 1? It's not quite 2, and that's the hour hand. The minute hand is around about the 10, but it's pointing exactly to 1 minute closer than 10 minutes. So it is, what is it, grade 3s? 9 minutes to 2, 9 minutes to go till 2 o'clock, and 1:51, which means it is 51 minutes past 1. Okay, now we're going to focus a little bit on money, because we've done money lessons as well, and remembering that we have rands and cents in our money system in South Africa. All right, so how much money? You are going to now count up the coins. And the first example, I'm going to ask you to name it as cents and as rands. So let's have a look. Those are the cents, or the copper money, or the copper colored money that always sits after the comma, unless it makes a rand, in which then it becomes a silver money, and it sits before the comma, remember. So I'm going to ask you to tell me, let's count up first. So I always start with a bigger number. Then I know that I don't leave any out. So I'm going to go 50 plus 20 is 70, plus 20 is 90, plus 20 is 110, plus 20 is 120. Sorry, that was a mistake. Let's do it again. These 3 add up to 90, then 110, and 10 cent makes 120. So if I write it as cents, it's 120 cents. But we know that 100 cents is 1 rand, so I'm going to put my smart little 1 rand there, this side of the comma, and my 20 little cents is to wait on the other side of the comma until it becomes a rand. Then it can hop over the fence. Here's a slightly bigger number now. Let's add. So that's 5 rand plus 5 rand is 10 rand, plus 2 rand is 12, plus 1 rand is 13 rand. But there's our rands, and there's our little copper 50 cents. So what goes where? There's our rand coin. 13 rand goes in front of the comma, and 50 cents goes after the comma. Right, let's do a couple of money calculations. Right, you go to the shop and you buy an ice cream and a cold drink. The ice cream costs you 18 rand 50, and the cold drink costs you 15 rand 50. So now I'm going to ask you the question, how much did you spend altogether? And obviously I'm going to add those two together. And can you remember what I told you before, grade 3, is that you need to add the rands first, then you add the cents, and then you put them together. So let's do that. 18 rand plus 15 rand is 33 rand. And you might ask the question, Mrs. Harmon or Les, why have you put 2 zeros after those numbers? Well, because if I have cents left over that go that side of the comma, there has to be 2 places after the comma. That's just to remind you. So the rand total is 33, but we haven't yet added up our 250s. We mustn't forget about those, because we can't cheat somebody when we pay. We have to pay the right amount. So 50 cents plus 50 cents is 100 cents, which is the same as 1 rand. So 33 rand plus 1 rand is 34 Rand. Woohoo! Clever people. Right, you're going to be good at money one day. Now we buy bananas and apples. My bananas cost me 8 Rand. That's quite cheap for 3. And 12 Rand 50 for that little bunch of apples there. So my question is again, what's the total? How much did you spend altogether? Well, we have to say 8 Rand plus 12 Rand 50. Easy peasy. Add your 8 Rand and your 12 Rand. So your rands first. 8 Rand plus 12 Rand is 20 Rand. But don't forget our 50. We can't take that from the shopkeeper. He's going to want that. So you have to add that 50 cents to the 20 Rand, remembering that the cents always goes on the other side of the comma. So the answer, 20 Rand and 50 cents. Good spending. Oh, word problems. Remember, what did I tell you about word problems? Read carefully and underline the question. What do we know already? What do we still need to find out as we read on? So we must highlight the numbers and circle the keywords, and then you solve the problem and write your answer sentence. Here is the problem. A shopkeeper earns 652 Rand on Monday and 864 Rand on Tuesday. How much more money does he earn on Tuesday? So, what's my question? How much more money does he earn on Tuesday? More, how much more, means that there is a difference in both those amounts. And what are the numbers that I've got to look at? 652 on Monday and 864 on Tuesday. How much more on Tuesday tells me that I found the difference and I have to subtract. And as you know, at the moment we are focusing on two different really nice methods of subtraction. The one is lock and split. The other one is leapfrog, and I'm going to focus on leapfrog for today because last time I looked at lock and split. So leapfrog tells me that I have to leap from the smaller number up to the bigger number. I have to count how many leaps I made to get from 652 up to 864, and then add the leaps because that will tell me what the difference is. Okay, so let's start with 652, which is our small number. And what do we do first? Remember, we complete the 10. So I'm going to add up to try and get to 660. I'm going to add 8, of course. That gets me to 660. Now, to make it easier, I'm going to add 40 to get me to the next 100. So if I add 40, I get to 700. Now it's easy because I'm adding in friendly numbers, remember grade 3, which is your numbers that end in a 0. Right, so 700, remember I'm on my way to 864. So let's add 100. That gets me there a little bit more quickly. So adding 100 to 700 gives me 800. And then add 60 to get to 860, and then I add 4 to get me to 864. Now what am I going to do? Starting always with my big fat number, because then I go from my big number down to my smallest number, which means I don't leave them out. So how many jumps did I do, grade 3s? Let's add these jumps now, because that is where my answer is, in the jumps. So 100 plus 60 is 160, plus 40 is 200, plus 8 is 208, plus 4 is 212. So there's my sentence. The shopkeeper earned 212 Rand more on Tuesday. Super. Right, let's end with a puzzle finisher. And this little puzzle finisher is quite easy, but I don't have to always start at the beginning, do I? And where am I going to start? Well, I'm going to start with my 3 cars, because I can see that 3 cars added together will give me 27, and I know, because I know my 3 times table, that 9 plus 9 plus 9. Oh, Mrs. Holmes made a mistake. Let's just carry on regardless. Right, so I know that 9 plus 9 plus 9 is 27. All right, but then, so let's put our 9 here with this little blue car. 9 subtract 2 is 7. Easy peasy. Now I can put my 7 where the scooter is. And 7 is the same as what take away 1, grade 3s, is 8 take away 1. Good. So now we know the helicopter is 8. What two numbers added together, same numbers because it's aeroplane and aeroplane, will give me 8? Well, 4 of course, which then tells me that the helicopter there, the aeroplane there is valued at 4. So Mrs. Harwin didn't check properly that I had animated my numbers in the correct order, which I'll have to remember to do next time. Right, so that is the end of our lesson for this week, grade 3. So I would like to remind you that you can go onto the website and go or onto the section where it's got worksheets for you to do, and you can complete that and have a look at the memo, which is where the answers will be found, and you can mark your work, and I'm sure you're going to do fabulously well, because I'm going to have set the same kind of things in your worksheet as we've done in our video. So what I'm going to do now is say goodbye until next time, where I can't wait to bring you the next maths lesson. Have a beautiful day, grade 3s. Be safe, be kind to each other, and see you next time. It's goodbye from me.